Yeah.
You know, the struggle with Martin Luther King, what he did affected the world. So you have America looking at these other countries that may be taking advantage of minority groups or oppressing them, and telling these other countries, hey, you know, no apartheid like in South Africa or these other countries that are oppressing.
Yeah.
And so that move, I believe, has affected the whole world, so that everyone can say, I am a human and I have rights.
Yes. So, to like, kind of like, relate this to like several things we've talked about so far, whether it be like your vision, your why. Talk about corporations, their vision, their why, like Apple, Walmart. So like, it's just like hit me now. So like the U.S. is like a large scale of, first off, like, what's it mean to be like a good human being? We all have different ideas behind that, but like for me, I always think of always making sure whenever you're with somebody, from a small scale, like giving more value than you're taking, so being a go-giver in that sense. And so on a massive scale with the U.S., you were saying earlier, the U.S., whether you want to go into detail about like the United Nations or whatever, but like the U.S. is always seeming like it's trying to help out other countries in that sense, so it's trying to be valuable and improve other countries in that sense. So somewhere along the line, it seems like day by day, it's almost like the why of what the U.S. stood for and stands for and continues to stand for. It's becoming a little fuzzier and fuzzier to a lot of people, especially the world. And so it becomes even more important for like citizens here, especially you could say like freedom fighters or entrepreneurs or just people that don't want to conform to the majority, and really embracing what freedom, the opportunity here, to really go about expressing and communicating very clear way the why, as far as why do you love, why be all you can be in America, and then help out others, kind of ordeal. And then that's cool. We got to this point because I've never I've never really thought about it like that before. So that's I'm glad. I'm really grateful we're talking about that aspect right now, because it led me to do a little mind exploring there.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. For contributing to that.
There's a purpose for everything. For this country, there's a purpose, and you know, it's important that we, you know, live that out. You know. It's not just to be a top dog or some without purpose. You know, you have to, you know, there's a greater reason.
Yeah. The higher purpose.
Yeah.
Higher purpose. And there's themes here. The why, the intention, the higher purpose.
The higher purpose. Yeah.
Right now we got seated purpose. The higher purpose will come later once we all stand up. But
that's right. That's good. The higher purpose. When you stand up, you get the higher purpose.
But it goes back.
But when you stand up, you can get the higher purpose. You stand up for whatever.
You stand up for. It's like fight the power. You stand up for that, but then overall, it's for a higher purpose. And that's what allows the sleepless nights. That's what allows you to always constantly have the energy. That's what allows you to always want to not have to count the cost, or be able to go through the drudgery of times and get to the triumph, where then you can get to the success of that higher purpose. And I feel bad for people that if they haven't got to that point or don't even recognize to have a higher purpose, and they're just relying purely off motivation, because motivation you rely on other people,
circumstances.
Those other people aren't going to be around there forever to motivate you.
Or your circumstances, you try to depend on that, and circumstances shouldn't drive you for your higher purpose, because they can change.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good. Next time we got to work on solving the cure for cancer, because we're hitting some heavy stuff. So
cancer's interesting. Look at the aspect of we live in the safest time ever to be a human being, and yet we have the most like self-depression ever in human history. We have the most cancer ever in human human history, and cancer was never even really existent. I don't even know when cancer came on board, but has it been around for 100 years? Mm-hmm. Has cancer been around for 100 years?
I don't think so.
And just how it opened this huge industry of people that have a livelihood and benefit off of cancer being fluctuating. It's all fascinating. Yeah. It's just fascinating when you start to like sit down and just dissect how society operates.
Yeah.
And man, you could get into like black holes after black holes because like you could just continually get lost in it because you're like, my goodness, it goes this way. My goodness, it happens this way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, you swing pretty heavy. I mean, you do. That's impressive. Like I'm like, this guy has.
I don't like I've gotten to a point I can tell you a lot of things as far as how I've gotten to where I am right now, but I really value substance and like deep talk. I don't like small talk because again it goes back to our time's limited. So especially with connecting with people, like I don't want to just talk about limited enjoyment, which would be like some type of, or I should say limited entertainment,
right?
And stuff that actually applies to our lives. And I haven't asked you the question yet because I always like to ask either guests or just people I get willing to just like be filmed.
Mr. or Mrs. Random.
This is a good segue into it then.
Okay.
All right, Karen. So what do you want to do before you die?
Oh my gosh. Do we have enough time?
Yeah, we actually. I hate to say this, but
you're running.
I need to cut it off at an hour because I only have. I'm wasting film doing this. I only have like 3.71 gigabytes, and I've worked it out now. It's about like an hour to an hour 10 minutes.
Okay.
So. And I can always transfer a little bit on an iPad, but go for it. I want to hear it. I would love to hear it.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Say it again now.
So Karen.
Yes.
What do you want to do before you die?
I want to set up networks and systems that will be self-sustaining, that will be able to help as many people as possible. I just want, like, I just feel that there are networks that we could set up, like to help the poor, and that can utilize the resources we have, without having to compromise, like going to GMO and all that. I just feel like there needs to be networks set up to where we can help eliminate some of the issues that we're dealing with, the poverty and the people going hungry and things like that. I just want, like a Sam Walton, I just want to set up a network and a system to where it's self-sufficient, but it is able to help people be self-sufficient and I don't know. I just do. I feel that there is a way to do it. It's just figuring it out. Like, there's a way to set up a network to help people.
Yeah, like you just outline your vision. And the cool thing is, you want to use like the example of Walt Disney. Okay. He was a why guy in the sense like he was a visionary.
Yeah.
And if he ever had meetings, he'd always be the person that would throw out ideas to the people in the meeting. And if they didn't say like, Walt, you're crazy, they'd have to say that in order for them to like, all right, that's the idea I need, because I need to throw out an idea that's just, it's out there. Like people necessarily was like, that's impossible to do. But if it's impossible to do, that's what you need to do.
Yeah. And
like, that's awesome. Like that's something you want to do before you die, because that's the vision you have, and it can definitely be done. It's just a matter of finding the people on Earth that are more of like the what. They can help you and the how.
Yeah.
And connecting with that, because that's like Walt Disney. Walt Disney was the how, the visionary.
Yes.
And his brother, he was the one that's more rational in the what, and helping with Walt laying out the foundation of what Walt Disney is now. And that's really cool. Networks and systems, that makes sense, because in the day you want to, I'm sure, impact as many people as possible in that positive sense. Yeah. That's where the networks and systems come into play, because then it becomes duplicatable based off like where you're at, and you get it going, then you want it to emulate other parts of the U.S. or regional U.S. to the whole country, to, I'm sure, worldwide.
I think about a story I read about, and it's out of the Bible, and it's about Joseph.
Okay.
And he was a smart young man, and he used to have dreams and visions. And he used to tell his dreams and visions, and his older brothers got mad, and so they took him from the family, beat him up, threw him in a hole, and then he got taken out of the hole. He got sold to slavery, and then he was in slavery for a while, and then he got put into like the chief guard of the Pharaoh.
Okay.
And he was working for the chief guard in that man's house, and he was doing well, and he was prospering, and so then the chief guard's wife started coming unto him, and so the young man Joseph didn't want nothing to do with that, so he ran, and she didn't like that he turned her down, so she lied on him and said he tried to rape her, so they threw him in jail. They threw Joseph in jail. But Joseph was a dreamer, and he knew how to interpret dreams. And he was in jail for a long time. The Pharaoh had a dream, and someone remembered Joseph in prison. The long and short of it, Joseph answered the dream. He gave Pharaoh understanding about his dream. Joseph was a smart young guy, and all the while he was in prison, he developed a system about how to handle when there's a drought. How do you handle a drought? So when he got on board, Pharaoh appreciated what he was doing, promoted Joseph from prison to be second in command to Pharaoh. And there was a drought that was coming, and Joseph had the bright idea. Before the drought, while it was plenty, Joseph implemented a plan to save and get all the excess wheat and stuff and save it. And he did it so that when the drought came, they had enough. Yes, so the drought came. So there's 7 years of plenty. So he saved. Then there was 7 years of drought. And everyone in the region had to come to them, Egypt, to get food, because they had that much wheat stored abundant. Right. And it was because he was a thinker, and he had a system set up, and he implemented this. And not only were they able to sustain themselves, but they were able to sustain other countries. And actually that's how he reconnected with his family, because they had to come to Egypt to get the food. And the brothers didn't know when they came looking for the food that it was their brother that they had betrayed and thought he was dead. And so Joseph knew them, but they didn't know him. And Joseph at first started giving them a very hard time. He started like, I'm going to throw you in jail. Are you here? You're robbers. You're trying to conspire from another country to come and spy on us. We're going to, he gave him a really hard time. And then, but behind the scenes, he was crying. Like, this is my family. I wonder if my father's still alive and all this. And then in the end, he forgave them and reconciled. When he told them who he was, and the brothers were like ready to drop dead, because they were like, we're done. He's going to kill us. And he's like, no, I forgive you. Where's Dad? And they all reconciled, and he brought all of them over, and they were living near the Pharaoh and him.